Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? First NHL live stream here, so definitely give me your guys' feedback if you can give it to me. Got a nice little slate going tonight, so really like a lot of the options that we have. And if you looked over my cheat sheet already, you'll be able to see some of the teams that I'm on, some of the guys that I really like. I'll be able to share my screen with you guys so you can kind of see my process into how I create my player pools and my lineups. I really like a lot of GPPs tonight, so I definitely built a lot more than I usually do, just because I like a lot of different stacks and everything. And I think we'll be able to have a great night tonight. Definitely keep any questions in the comments so I can address them about the slate. You'll see at the bottom I just added a little ticker with all the games that are on tonight. And I'm gonna try to do this about 4 to 5 times a week. I know Flynn's gonna join me a few times. Cam Low owned, he'll join me a couple times a week, just to get some new content out for you guys for hockey and kind of grow hockey over at the DFS Army. So it'll be good to do. I'm really excited for it. Just wait a couple more minutes to get everybody in here, and then we can get started with breaking down the slate. First, I'll show you guys kind of where I start. I usually start my research and everything at about 7 or 8 in the morning. So I got a nice little dog that wakes me up early. So yeah, gets me going, and I start looking at hockey. All right. I'll share the screen here with you guys so you can kind of see where I'm at. I have all these tabs open, which is kind of crazy. I usually do my research on 2 different computers, so definitely makes it a lot easier for myself. But for purposes today, I just have my one. So what I do, so I created a table for myself that makes my research a lot easy. It kind of puts everything in perspective sometimes before the research station is up, and I can get this going. So if you look here, this is a little sheet that I made. What I do basically is these are the stats that I primarily look at to get started with my research. These are season long stats because we're not too far into the season. And I'll probably use season long for the whole year just because it's a shorter season. But what I do is I look over at left wing lock. That's usually my go-to for lines and goalie confirmations. I drag shots per game, shots against per game, goals against, power play, penalty kill. And then I added this new one at the end, penalties per game, which I think a lot of people don't always look at. It's definitely an indicator of who's taking penalties. So if they're taking a bunch of penalties, they got a really bad penalty kill, then I'm going to try to attack the power play that's against them. You'll see tonight we have a lot of teams that have over a 20% power play percentage. That Carolina-Florida game is definitely very interesting. Then we look down here, Toronto and Edmonton. We know, I think that was 3-0 last game. That's not going to happen tonight. I can see that being a lot higher scoring than it was. And I see Edmonton, they're probably going to put up 3 or 4 goals themselves. So this is where I start. This is really what I use for creating my stacks and looking at the goalies I want to target. So when I'm looking at the goalies I want to target, I primarily look at the goals against per game and then the shots against per game. So, for example, tonight, my favorite cash goalie right now is Connor Hellebuyck for Winnipeg. So if you look at the Vancouver Winnipeg game right here, my first thing I saw was, all right, Vancouver shooting close to 32 shots a game. Winnipeg's allowing about 32 shots a game. So we can assume that Vancouver is probably going to have more than 30 shots tonight. But this is the big column right here, goals against per game. Winnipeg's only allowing 2.6, which is one of the lower ones on the slate. And Vancouver, they're scoring under 3, but they're a great offense. Don't get me wrong there, but it's definitely a spot to attack them. I've attacked them in the past when goalies against them. I think Markstrom a couple weeks ago 44 save shutout or gave up like 1 or 2 goals, and he was one of the highest scoring goalies on the slate. So they definitely shoot the puck a lot, but they do struggle to score. So this is where I start with all of my research. It's a nice little table that I created myself. I get everything from NHL.com, and it's nice and easy to see. And then once the research station comes up, I absolutely love this research station. Basically, this is one of the only things that you'll need to create your lineups. Today's games, the first one, the first tab on there is just great. You got all the stats you need. You know, your record, last 10 games, even shows the record against the opponent, which is great. And the color coding definitely helps people out a lot as well. And yeah, no problem, guys. RC Bremen, no, I do not have a blue moon, but I do got some vodka here, vodka and seltzer. That's usually my go-to drink. Jay Lid, yeah, my dog's doing great. He's doing good, so it's definitely good. Glad to have you guys here, that's for sure. Before I get a little more into it, if you go over and are new, want to sign up for the DFS Army, you're new, slap on the code MDEL to get 20% off your VIP. We have a lot of different things you can sign up for. You can do weekly, you can do core 4, you can do sport by sport. But VIP is definitely the best. You get Slack chat, you get all of our coaches' videos and stuff that are VIP only. Definitely want to sign up and get into the chat because a lot of good stuff goes on, especially in the NHL chat. So now that I've showed you a little bit of how I start everything, I will kind of go over my cheat sheet a little bit. I did make some adjustments from this morning, so if you haven't had a chance to look at it before or after I updated it, then this will give you a chance to look at it now. Here we go. I'll share the screen with you guys. All right, so I'm primarily I usually do the FanDuel. That's just the site that I primarily play on. And we have Flynn and Low Owned who have been doing DraftKings, and they've been absolutely crushing it over there. FanDuel, for those of you who have not played on FanDuel that much and primarily on DraftKings, FanDuel is a lot easier to build a lineup in. You don't necessarily need that super pump that you might need on DK. But Flynn and Low Owned, they do a great job of throwing that value guy in there as one of their core plays who have good floors, and they're good to plug into your lineup so you can get the studs. I want to say the biggest news we're looking at right now, now it's about 3 hours before game start, is Austin Matthews. He's going to be a game time decision. Even if he does play, I'm not fully on him, just because he might not be 100% healthy. I don't know. It's kind of risky, especially being this late into the day and still not knowing if he's going to be playing or not. So if you look here, by the way, this layout for the cheat sheets, we changed it up this year, and I absolutely love it. It mirrors the NBA cheat sheets, and it just makes everything so much easier to see. The notes section, I know I'm a little lengthy in the notes, but I think it's very important to kind of give you guys exactly where I'm looking at, especially for cash and tournaments. I primarily play cash, double ups, head to heads. Those are definitely great. They're the two things I love the most on FanDuel. So if we want to start out, so basically what I do, I always start with my tournament section first, mainly because it's a lot easier to kind of say like what lines I like rather than going player by player to try to find my core plays and my cash goalies and everything. But the first thing I noticed today, my absolute favorite stack of the night is going to be Colorado. So if we go over to the research station here, the great thing is they're the last game of the night. Because they're playing the Sharks, they are going to be very popular. But here we go. We see a lot of green on this side. We see a lot of red and yellow on this side. So we definitely want to target that. Let me zoom out for you guys a little bit so you can see everything. I know it's small, but we'll be able to kind of see everything. So Colorado, Yeah, they haven't been scoring that much in the last 10 games. Just 2.7. Not great, but we know the firepower that their top line has. Landeskog, McKinnon, and Rantanen. Honestly, 50 shots on goal in the last 5 games. That's absurd. We're playing the Sharks. Martin Jones is not good, and I think that they're my highest owned stack, definitely on the night. And I even like their second line of Saad, Kadri, and Donskoy. Mix and match. Devin Taves, Ryan Graves, Samuel Girard. I don't like him on FanDuel. I do not like the price there, but I really Cam brought up to me his price on DraftKings, and I'm like, I mean, how can you not put him in your lineup there? He's going to be gets power play time, plays tons of minutes a night. You kind of got to just put him in there in cash if you can. There are some other plays definitely on FanDuel that I like a lot better. Hey guys, be sure to put some questions into the comment section, and I'll get to those and start answering them once I go through my cheat sheet a little bit here for you. So going back to this, we'll look here at our player rankings. You'll kind of notice on most nights, our rankings for DraftKings and FanDuel are pretty similar. The top guys are the top guys for a reason. They're priced up there for a reason. So what I want to do is I want to give you guys what I think is the best 10 or 15 players. And on bigger slates, there are going to be so many more options, and you're just not going to be able to get all the options in there with the 10 or 15 spots. So like I said, if you go back to my cheat sheet here, cash core right here, boom. Nathan McKinnon, Brady Tkachuk, Tim Stützle, probably did not say that right, but and Connor McDavid. And honestly, with the value that we do have tonight, we can fit McKinnon and McDavid in the same lineup. They are going to be very popular. Most of your head-to-heads are probably going to have both of them in the lineup. So I think we kind of just plug them in, find the value. Stützle, 4.2K. He's been absolutely on fire. Take a look at the research station here. I'm going to go right over to the skaters and see what I normally do is when I'm looking for I'm all over the place. I apologize. But what I'm going to do here, now that you know my cash car, I'll go back to my GPP. I'll end with cash. It's kind of how I do my process. So that's how I want to show you guys what I do. So GPP, you really want the correlation with the lines. A big place to go to is check out Left Wing Lock, Daily Face Off, whichever one you prefer. Some prefer one over the other. I look at Left Wing Lock, and they're not going to be completely accurate until pregame skates and beat reporters get their stuff out there. So there's going to be some changes. A lot of times goalies might be different. Lines might be shuffled a little bit. But I continue to check them throughout the day to make sure that the guys who I have are actually correlating and playing on the same line. And I kind of got screwed by that last night because Left Wing Lock had one guy on the top line, and he ended up not being on the top line. So it kind of lost the correlation there with Columbus. But that's all right. That lineup it wasn't that good anyways. But if you look here, these are my core lines for tournaments. Colorado 1, Edmonton 1. You can include their power play, which would add Draisaitl in there. I prefer Winnipeg 2 over Winnipeg 1. They've been a lot more consistent. And my issue here with Winnipeg, I really like them today, don't get me wrong, but they have 3 guys who used to be centers. And now they got 2 guys on the wings who are used to playing center. It kind of shuffles things up. I think they can be a great line, and they can get really good chemistry as the season goes on, but it might just take some time. The Toronto power play unit, I do like that. If you go back over here to my table, Toronto's got a 32% power play rate. Edmonton's got about a 77.5 penalty kill. Not awful. They're still allowing some goals, but they're taking about 3.5 penalties per game. So there's going to be probably, I'd say, between 2 to 5 chances on the low and the high end for Toronto to get on the power play and get some goals here. So those things are good. I don't normally talk about my core lines in the GPP section only because I want to get all my other stuff that I love for tournaments, because there's a lot to love, and I only got a few spaces up top. So please be sure you guys read this. I know it's a lot of writing, but it's very, very, very important that you read it all, because there are some things that you're going to miss. And you're like, oh, why didn't you mention this guy? Well, did you read the notes? If you didn't, well, then you're probably going to miss it out. But this is one big thing I want to know. So I always start with my goalies for cash GPP. First place, I start with my lineup. They're the most expensive normally, unless you have guys like McDavid, Matthews, McKinnon on the slate. But I always say my cash goalies are good for single entry tournaments and even larger field tournaments. Because hockey is so volatile, you never know who's going to have a good night. And a lot of times in cash, it's hard to pay up for your goalie, because if they allow 2 or 3 goals and they score 4 points, or the other night when I played, I think it was Markstrom, he had like -4 or something, and you're paying up for him and you're getting a bad game. So these guys here are my GPP only targets in net. I think I have a couple more on my rankings. Again, I can only list 5 there. There's a lot to like. A lot can happen in hockey. Connor Hellebuyck, though, I absolutely love him in all formats. I actually wrote him both in GPP and cash because I like him that much. And most of the time when I like him this much, he kind of falls. So be weary, because he could. But the matchup's good. He should see a bunch of shots. I think a guy who's going to be very low owned, and I did mention it here, is Cam Talbot against Vegas. Everybody loves play Vegas offense. I mean, I'm a Vegas fan. I even got my hoodie on tonight. But they're struggling a little bit of late to score. They're shuffling their lines around. Alex Tuch is back on the top line. Great value, by the way, if you're looking on the wing. But Talbot's been great this year. One thing I love to do, this is left wing lock starting goalies. You don't need to sign up for this. This is free. Now, if you go into the lines, you do have to pay. It's like $2 a year, so it's very cheap. But it's a good start. Cam Talbot, 4-2-0, 219 goals against average, 926 save percentage. That's great. I remember when he was with Edmonton and Calgary, he was struggling, but he seemed to find it with Minnesota, and Minnesota's playing great in front of him as well. So I do like him in tournaments. I think he's going to go a little bit lower owned. We see Mike Hutchinson for Toronto. I kind of wish it was Campbell again, but he would have been a lot chalkier. I think Hutchinson's going to have a lot lower ownership. Excuse me. But he's been good this year. I mean, he's only played 3 times, so it's going to be tough. But again, you never know what's going to happen, and it's hockey. Anything can happen. So going back here. All right, so I know Chop mentioned this earlier today. Slack chat always open. That they're having Husso, if I said that right, I'm not sure, I might have said it wrong, starting for the Blues, and I think that kind of bumps up John Gibson. He struggled a little bit lately, but he was very good to start the year. He's 5-8-4, 268 goals against, 907 save percentage, 3 shutouts. For a while, he had the best save percentage in the league. He did struggle since then. If I look over here on FanDuel, NHL, kind of show you his game logs really quick here. Let me just. All right, I'll just go into a random. There's a satellite. See some lineups I'm working on. All right, goalie. Like I said, I start with goalie. So I'll do a little mock cash lineup for you guys, kind of a couple spots that I'm looking at, and kind of how I work my core into my lineup. But if you look here, scroll all the way down, John Gibson. All right, so this is the beginning of the year. He was doing well. I mean, he had 2 shutouts right in the beginning. It's really hard when your team can't score in front of you to get wins. But you also can't allow 3 or 4 goals against. It's not success to win. But he's had some decent games of late. This is going to lower this. One thing I love about tournaments, especially in hockey, is anything can happen. He's allowed 3-4-5, 3-3 goals against in his last 5 games. He hasn't scored above 10 FanDuel points. Nobody's going to play John Gibson. But we know St. Louis, they are very streaky, and they can struggle. And Gibson at 6.9K literally opens up everything for you. You can play any stack you want. You can get all the studs in there. And if he comes up with a 15-point game, then you could be flying past people. Another thing, the Florida-Carolina game. This one's tough. Because if you look at my little table here that I made, both are shooting a ton. Both are scoring a ton. Both are giving up less than 3 goals per game. About the same power play, same penalty. This game is so evenly matched. It's going to be hard to decide. Now, where do you want to go? Do you want to stack them up? Do you want to play the goalies? Well, I say do both. I do like the goalies. Dreiger and Mdellagnese14. Probably said that wrong. My pronunciations on these names are awful. I apologize. But they've been good this year. I mean, this is what you do in tournaments is you take stands on guys and you think that, hey, they could have a good game. So if we go back up here, you look 2-2-1, 2-3-8, 9-14 save percentage, 7-2-1, 2-1-8, 9-2-8 save percentage. I honestly do think this game is going to be a little bit lower scoring than some people think, but that shouldn't shy you away from stacking up their offenses. Both their offenses shoot a ton, and those shots are going to end up going into the net. And so those basically round out my goalies for tournaments tonight. There could be a couple of guys I didn't mention that are still in play. I had no problem with that. But other tournament lines that I like besides the top ones, probably my favorite, I'd say kind of mid-range value line is Ottawa 1. The Senators, they're a feisty team. They shoot a bunch. They just can't score. And I haven't watched a ton of Senators games, so I don't know if they're just shooting right at the goalie, they're missing their spots. But the top line, Tkachuk, Brown, Norris, and Shabbat, I really love. I'll give you a little spoiler in cash. Shabbat and Tkachuk are in my primary cash lineup. Their floors are great. Their ceilings are great. Riddick hasn't been that great, and he's allowed 7 goals to Ottawa the last 2 games. So I'm going to keep attacking that. But one thing, and they're still going to be low owned, and I don't know why, is the third line of Ottawa. If we come to our research station here, and we look, FanDuel Stack Finder, this is where I use to create my stacks. It's so easy. Everything here, line 1 through 4, all 3 defense pairs. But if you look here, Ottawa, all right, so you see the price of the top line, 15-2. One of the lower ones on the slate. All right. But this is the one I'm interested in. This is going to be a lower owned stack. Is their line 3. 12-5. 48 shots and blocks the last 5 games. 6 goals. My 2 are Stetzel. And if you go down to Batherson, where is he right here? Look at this. Look at these shots and blocks. This is your floor. For 8.7K, your floor is 40 shots, 41 shots, 6 goals. I mean, the value there is just absolutely insane. I have no problem if you want to play Batherson in cash. I will limit. I usually say two per team in cash. Honestly, tonight my main cash lineup has 3 Senators. Am I scared about it? A little bit, but I just love the spot they're in, and they should be able to produce. But that third line, nobody's going to play them, even though they are one of the hottest third lines. They're even hotter than some teams' top lines in the last 5 or 10 games. So I think we can definitely take a shot at that. And go back to my cheat sheet here. Let's see. If you just read this over, I like Calgary 1 and 2. Prefer their second line. Sharks 1, Kane, Couture, and LeBlanc. They've been really good. I don't like the matchup with Colorado. Yes, Grubauer has struggled lately, but he's still been one of the better goalies all year. Colorado doesn't allow a ton of goals, but they've been one of the most productive lines. They got 10 goals in the last 5 games. So in larger tournaments, I do want to get some exposure to them just in case Grubauer struggles again. We saw him struggle a couple games in a row, and he can do that again. The Sharks are a feisty team. They're very physical, and if they can take over possession, I think they can get a few goals on him tonight. Let's see. Earlier this week, Minnesota too. Actually, I should say last. They were rolling. Rask, Zuccarello, and Kaprizov. They've been since they got Zuccarello back. They have looked like a whole new team. They're climbing up the standings in the West there, and it's a tough matchup with Vegas. Again, if you go back over to my table that I created, Vegas is allowing 2.06 goals a game. Fleury has been insane, and I just absolutely love using them in tournaments just because it's going to change. I mean, Vegas is going to allow some goals, and Minnesota too. They're still scoring like crazy. So, RC Bremen, he asked, "How do I set up the DS?" So normally, the only time I personally use the Domination Station for hockey is if I'm going to build like 15, 20 lineups from an MME. If I'm building cash, I do always hand build my cash lineups. I hand build a lot of my tournament lineups too. So what I did, so I kind of already had some things locked in. So I'll reset. I was kind of playing with it a little bit before, but basically what you want to do is you want to put in your stacks, throw some likes of doors on people, and kind of play. You got to play around with a lot. There's a lot of tweaking that we're working on here to kind of fix it and make it better for you guys. Double stack, 4 and 3 is normally what I would do on FanDuel. Unless you want to play the goalie, then you put that stack with a 3. I know personally for MLB, I did a lot of MME for MLB, and this is how I set it up. I set it 4 and 3. That way you get the ones you want 4. You pick your team, Colorado, I want to say, and then you pick the guy. You can pick the guys you want, and it'll force those 4 guys in. And I would pick their top line guys. Love Taves, Kinnan, and Rantanen. They would be my top one. If I'm building 150, I'd probably want them in probably about 40. I know some of the other guys use the Domination Station a lot more than I do, and I think Cam does, and I'm going to have him on later this week, so maybe he can explain it a little bit more to you. I don't want to give off like a ton of wrong information or things, just because I primarily hand build all my hockey lineups. Blitz 3.6 the last 5. Yeah, Gibson is regressing a lot, but that's where we want to attack him. We want to attack him in tournaments when he's going to be 1 or 2% owned, because nobody's going to play him, just because he has been so bad lately. So let's see. I'll go over my cash a little bit more. Be sure to keep dropping questions in the chat so I can see them. That way I can answer. We'll end off here with a little Q&A if you want. Just be sure to ask questions, and if you're in Slack chat, ask them in there. You can tag me. Mdellagnese14 is my channel tag there. So player ranks. I'll go over my player ranks. I'll show you them again. First, I'll get to this question. Lawrence, can we play the Chuck brothers in cash? Yeah, I definitely think you can. I prefer Brady a little bit more if you're kind of choosing between the two. But he is a little more expensive than Matthew. Matthew's only 6K. Brady's 5.5. But man, Brady he's just been a shot on goal machine lately. Last 2 games against Calgary, he's got 9 shots, 1 goal, and it came on the power play. So I really like that. Let's see. He's just been having a great year, and you can definitely play both in cash. Like I said, I do prefer Brady if you're only playing one. But both had great. I love when the brothers go against each other because they always have a great game. And I think last year they even fought each other. Um, but if you look at, I'll show you my screen again. Look at the Kachuk brothers a little. All right, so Matthew, 6K. I like it. Um, the one thing about him that I kind of struggle with is his shots are a lot more fluctuating than Brady's have been. But I mean, still 3, 4, 2, 6, 7. He's usually around 3 to 6 per game. Plays a ton of minutes on the ice, so I love that. He's got 16 points this year. But the one thing about him is Calgary's got a lot of other guys who do scoring. With Brady, he's kind of their main guy. I'd prefer him. They're playing about the same minutes, but like his shots are usually higher. Blocks you don't really worry about too much with like star wingers like this. They don't get a lot, but he's had 7 shots 4 times this year. I think 4, yeah, but 4 times. He scores a lot, and he's getting there on the assists. So I do prefer Brady. That's actually why he did make my core. But again, no problem with playing Matthew either. Matt Murray's terrible, and it'll probably be another high-scoring game, honestly. Want to look here. So what I do when I'm making my rankings, so I do my tournament goalies, do my tournament lines, and then I write in all my lines the other lines that I like for tournaments. A couple that I didn't mention: Carolina 1, Florida 2, Colorado 2 as well. I like them. And one other line is the Ducks top line with Husso for the Blues. I like going with Getzlaf, Comtoy, and Jones. They're kind of rolling a little bit. They're not very consistent, but they're gonna all be probably 2% or less owned in your tournaments. And if they get a couple goals, then they're gonna shoot you up there. Especially if you stack them with Colorado 1, or if you stack them with Edmonton or Toronto or Winnipeg. My preferred. So when you're getting those value stacks in, who are struggling to score like the Ducks, you really want your primary stack with them to be a team that's got a high implied goal total, and you're gonna want one who just has been so consistent. So for me, in the order of, it would be Colorado 1, Edmonton 1 / their first power play unit. And then I'd probably go with Toronto 1. I would like them a little bit more if Matthews plays, because I think he's a lot better than Tavares this year. And him on the top line brings Thornton's value up, brings Marner's value up. If you really want to get crazy and leave thousands of dollars on the table, stack Ottawa 3 and Anaheim 1. I mean, that's only if you're building 150 lineups, but throw it in the nickel, throw it in the quarter, throw it in the dime on DraftKings. It's great. I mean, they're going to be so low owned, and they both can score in this game, in their games tonight. So I'll go finish going over my cash. I'll show you Cam's DraftKings sheet a little bit, kind of so you can see where his core is and his goalies and GPP lines on DraftKings tonight. So first we'll go to my player ranks. You see them here. Like McKinnon was my core, McDavid's my core. I haven't had a chance to edit this yet, but you'll see that I have McDavid as my 4th ranked center. Now, after I did a little more looking and stuff, and I did make him core just because in cash, people are going to play McKinnon and McDavid together. And if you don't have them and one of them goes off, then there's no way you're winning your head-to-heads. And McDavid can score 50, 40. McKinnon can do the same. So I love pairing them, especially with the value that we have today. But my biggest thing in making my player ranks is they're not necessarily all cash plays or only GPP plays. They're kind of everything. GPP and cash mixed together. So like I said, McKinnon, my core, that's why he's my top guy. The matchup with Martin Jones is just way too good. I put Barkov as my second ranked center. Look at the shots and blocks total, 26. That is the most for centers, and I think he's going to be very, very low owned. I'm not necessarily going to use him in cash, but I do like that stack in tournaments because they are shooting a lot. I like Kadri for a little bit of lower option for Colorado. His price is coming up though, so it's a little shaky there. Shifley with Winnipeg, really just tournaments. He's got 7 points, but only 12 shots and blocks in his last 5 games, which floor is not great, but the ceiling is really good. You see, if you read my cash, Colin White, he's one of my favorite value plays at center if you're paying down that much. I do like Backlund for Calgary as well. You just didn't quite make the top 10 for me. But White's got 16 shots, 4,600, 4 points in his last 5 games. Pretty solid. Nobody's going to play Vancouver. Nobody. I do really like Vancouver. I need to add them in there. They're a streaky team. They are very streaky, but Hellebuyck can be leaky. He can give up some goals. So let's take a quick look at Vancouver. Oh boy. Hold on. All right. Vancouver. Look at that. 29 goals for in the last 10 games. That's not good. And that is why Hellebuyck is my cash goalie. I'll tell you now. I'm playing him in cash. He is my cash goalie. My other cash goalie, Marc-Andre Fleury, you'll see on my sheet. I just want to save a little bit with Hellebuyck. Fleury's been great. He's been one of the best goaltenders in the league this year. But Minnesota, they're sneaky, and I think they can score some goals. But take a look at Vancouver. Take a look at this second line: Miller, Pettersson, and Besser. Last 10 games, they got 9 goals and 66 shots. These shots are going to start to go in. They're shooting a ton, 31 in the last 5. I think we can take some shots at them in tournaments. And I remember last year, Alex Edler, he was a staple in my DraftKings lineups for showdowns. He was just blocking everything. His blocks are coming up. Still not scoring, but his floor is coming up. He's maybe coming back. He's healthy. You can add him in there. I do like Hoglander here in a stack if you're doing their second power play unit. But like, even if you look here at Winnipeg's penalty kill, it's been pretty good the last 10 games, even better than the last 10 home games. All right, I'm just going to look at some questions again real quick. Guys, keep dropping the questions in. I'll probably be on for a few more minutes here. So keep dropping your questions. And we'll see. All right, Lawrence got another question. Brady and Eller is the same price on FanDuel. Who do I prefer? Kind of depends on where you're going. If you're talking cash, Brady Tkachuk, he's my core. He's in my core, so I'm gonna always go to him if he's in it with another guy. It's gonna be him. That game is just gonna be very fast paced and high scoring. But Eller's made my list too. Let's see. I'll go back here and share the screen with you guys again. If you look at Ellers, he's 7th on my wing. He's got 18 shots and blocks last 5 games, 5 points. If you're stacking Winnipeg too, I love it. I do love it. Looking again at my wings, so we'll go back to a little bit of cash builds. Brady, like I said, he's my core. He's gonna be my top winger. 6,500. He's just shooting the puck a ton. 27 shots and blocks last 5 games is nuts. Rantanen, if you can afford him in cash, I do love going there. He is 8K, so it is going to be a little bit harder to fit him in there. But him and McKinnon make for a great cash 2-man stack. But I'm going to go with a defenseman in most of my stuff later. Kyle Connor, he's in play. His price has come down a lot. He slowed down a little bit, but still 70% consistency, 5 and 10 points in the last 5 games, 4 points, 24 shots and blocks. Matthew Tkachuk, he's up there too. I put him 4th. Patrick Hornquist, we know that he can shoot a ton. I think he had like 8 shots a couple games ago and just didn't score. If he scores, he smashes value. He's way up there on the leaderboard. Stetzel already said he's a core guy. He's 4,200. Love him here. Love the matchup. Ellers, 18. I like him, like I just said. Marner and Thornton, I put them here. They're not, I don't think they're really cash playable on the slate. Thornton definitely not cash play. His prices come way up, and I definitely do not like that. But if you're stacking Toronto 1, Thornton's getting the assists. Like, look, they got 12 assists combined between the two of them. Thornton's passing. I watched a couple of games ago, and he just puts passes right to the stick of his guys, and they can just pop them right in the net. So he's always there. Great veteran presence. I like that in the tournament stack. Evander Kane, no one's going to play him in cash, 6,700. I don't mind it. Shoots a lot. I don't like the matchup. But he's shooting. If you look at Landeskog, I'd rather save the 500 over Kane just because he is on that top line with McKinnon and Rantanen. He's not really scoring or assisting lately. He just got back, though. I think he was on the COVID protocol list, missed a few weeks. So he's getting his legs back under him, and his price hasn't reflected that. There was one point in the season where him and Rantanen were the same price. I think he was actually more than Rantanen at some point. Timo Meier shooting a lot. Zuccarello, 5,500. I do like that. 10 points in his last 5 games is absurd. Rounding out my value, Batherson and Comtoy. Probably say that wrong. Apologize. Good value for Batherson, 500 more. And we'll go quick to my defense. I love Shabbat. Love how he's been playing lately. Shots are going to come up. Shots have been up the last couple of games. Assisting a lot. He's going to score soon. Darnell Nurse. Last week, Nurse was less than Barry, or he was more than Barry. Now he's $200 less. So I want to take advantage of that, of FanDuel doing that. Throwing Nurse in there. Devin Taves, tougher matchup if you look at the DVP 8th. But he's going to block a ton of shots. He's going to shoot. I like pairing him with McKinnon. He's only 4,800, so it's a good value there on D. Take a look. He's probably too low. I'm probably going to change this right now. Alec Martinez. I'm going to put him where I have Pietrangelo here. I'm going to do that because Martinez has 23 shots and blocks the last 5 games. All right. I'm going to go back over to the research station, and I'll show you why I just moved him up. And I was going to do it before, but I wanted to wait. I already have this sorted. This is everybody. This is all the teams. So right here. Center, D, wing, everyone. And if you look over, I have this sorted by last 10 games, shots and blocks. Take a look at the top 3 guys. 51, 51, 50. Martinez has 34 blocks in his last 10 games. That's the most. You want to sort this? He's at the top. 34 blocks. That's absurd. He doesn't need to score. He doesn't need to assist. He's cheap enough at 4,100 where if he gets that 5 or 6 shots and blocks combined, he's hitting value. If you look at the domination station, he's gonna pop in probably. If you make 150 right off the rip, no adjustments, he'll be probably in all of them. Actually, I'll show you right now. I'll show you how many lineups he's gonna be in. I'll reset all the settings again. I'll refresh my projections. Make sure if Jim made any projection updates. Change this over to 150 lines. And then just optimize. And I'll tell you, Martinez is probably going to be in nearly all of them. While it's loading, I'll check any more questions here. Sam, yes, I'll go over DK Cash in a minute here for you to help you out. Chris Drager, DraftKings, I don't mind it. I'm still mainly on Connor Hellebuck on both sites. Dreger is only 7,300. I just think Carolina's offense is very powerful, but he could get that 35 save bonus, and that's kind of what we're looking at on DraftKings. The win's a little bit less important on DraftKings. William, congratulations taking down the $12 3 entry yesterday. I love it. Absolutely love it. You're very active in chat, so asking a lot of questions, learning a lot. Make sure you do that. Put this question here. Timo Meier, one of the hottest players on the slate. Who do you stack him with? Even strength and power play. He plays with different personnel. All right, going with the Sharks. What I'm gonna do, so they're tough. They're very really tough to figure out, especially because of the matchup they're in tonight. So I'm looking on my phone here. I got left wing lock. I forgot my password for my computer on left wing lock, so it's kind of a pain in the butt. But I will look here. So yeah, he plays. I don't like that second. I don't like Gambrell or Balcers. I'd prefer to stack him with. It's a tough stack. I don't like the second power play unit. I don't really like the first power play unit either because they spread him out. It's tough. He is hot. I give you that. He showed up a ton on the domination station, and I kind of like him more as a one-off. If you want to stack him, I would say stack him with LeBlanc. Other than that, just throw him in as a one-off. But here, let me share this again with you one last time. Guys, get your questions in because I'm going to wrap it up in a couple of minutes once I go over DraftKings. All right, so Domination Station is at 140 lineups right now, so it's just about done. Let me go. I actually talked to Cam a little bit about DraftKings. I usually don't play over on DraftKings unless I do a sheet for DraftKings, which I primarily do FanDuel. So my focus is on FanDuel. But let's take a look at his. That's good. So he's got his cash core: McKinnon, McDavid, Girard, Hamnick, and Landeskog. Great core. Look at the pricing: 34 and 2,500. That allows you to get these two studs in there. Take a look at his notes. For cash, he says Smith, Parise, and Landeskog way too cheap. Hamnick's got a lot of blocks, so that brings up his floor in a matchup where he should be able to get a lot of blocks, and he's so cheap, min price. DraftKings, that opens up everything for you. He did mention Cal McCarr. He is going to miss probably the rest of this road trip, so Girard's going to continue to play big minutes. 3,400, I like it. I still have FanDuel up here, but the stats are the same. So if we go here and look up Girard, I don't like him on FanDuel. I do not like this 5,100 on FanDuel. Brought that up to Cam. He goes, yeah, no thanks. But if you look, I mean, he had 2 assists last game. He's playing more than 20 minutes a night. Couple blocks, couple shots. But on DraftKings, he doesn't need really anything to hit value. If you go back over to the research station, one thing that's huge with difference between FanDuel and DraftKings gives you all these bonuses. Give you shot bonuses, 3 points or more bonus, hat trick bonus, blocks bonus. And then the goalies also get a bonus for 35 saves. So you want to look for that cheap guy on DraftKings in net who has a chance to get that 35 save bonus because it's worth a lot. So if I want to look here at I'll look at shots, the last 5+ shots the last 10 games. So you see Fiala, he's done it 5 times, so he's done it half. Pacioretty's done it 4, Hamilton's done it 4, Kane's done it 4, McKinnon's done it 4, McDavid's done it 4. These give you extra points, guys. 3 points. Pacioretty's done it twice. I don't really love him that much tonight. Just with the matchup, Talbot's been really good, but David and McKinnon have done it once. Got a couple Hatties in there. A huge thing to look at. I'll sort it by defenseman because that's defenseman on DraftKings. We want the block bonus. This was huge last year when I was playing a lot of showdowns in the playoffs when there was just one game. So if you want to look, how many times people have gotten 3+ blocks? This is why I love Alec Martinez everywhere. Let's check his DK price because I'm not exactly sure what it is. 5,700. I don't like that. Much better play on FanDuel. But Nurse, Martinez, and Cole all have hit the block bonus 5 times in the last 10 games. Larson, Muzzin, Pietrangelo, Spurgeon 4 times. I like that. Sort for DraftKings, you really want to sort for shots and blocks. That's basically what I do. That's what I do for my cash. I sort last 5 shots and blocks per game, and that's where you want to look. Pietrangelo, he's got 27, but we really, for his price, we need that goal, or we need the assist, where you can just go down to Martinez, who's significantly cheaper, and he's doing 4 less shots and blocks. So I do like that a lot. J-Lid, yeah, Myers definitely better as a one-off. Definitely prefer him as a one-off. Guys, I'm gonna be wrapping it up. I'll do a quick FanDuel lineup for you guys with my core guys. Throw in any more questions that you have really quick here, so then I can wrap this up and we can get to finish building our lineups. If you have any other questions with DraftKings, definitely tag Cam in the chat. Low owned wide receiver. He's got same 2 cash goalies, Hellebuck and Fleury. He's got Koskinen, Mdellagnese, and Driedger for GPPs. I like that. He did say that everyone will be over Toronto 1 from the last game, so it's probably going to be way higher. So if you don't want to play Toronto on either site, don't. I definitely prefer Colorado. I prefer Edmonton. I prefer Ottawa. Definitely with Tavares in there, I don't like it as much as Matthews. So we go to FanDuel, and let's see. Like I said, this we can do this on FanDuel, and that's why I'm doing it. Like I said, I always start my cash lineup with a goalie. We're going to take up most of your salary. So, look here. Grubauer, not a fan in cash. You can give up 3 or 4 goals tonight, 8,600. I'm going to save. Could go to Fleury. I mean, he's been great. Look at what he's done. He's allowing 1.58 goals against this year. That's absurd. He lost his job last year as the starting. Leonard took over his starting job last year, and I don't think he liked that very much. But look at him. 26, 47, 16, 5. Struggled a little bit those 2 games against Colorado. It's tough when you're playing a team 3 or 4 times in a row. 44, 27, 17. He's been great. I do like him in cash. But my preferred cash is going to be Hellebuck. 8,200 gives you a little bit more savings. I'm going to go over to center here, lock in my 2 cores at center. All right, so 3 guys leaves you 4,900. So you're probably thinking, oh, that's tough to make a lineup with that. All right, well, other core guy. Cheap. 4,200. Boom. 5,000 left per player. All right, ready? Other core guy. Oh, 4,600. You're probably. Oh, how do I fix my last 4 guys? 4,600. Well, D-man, I mentioned it a few times. Alec Martinez, 4,100. Boom. 4,100. Putting that in there gives you 48.67 per player for the last 3. Other D-men. I struggle a little bit making my cash lineup with this. You can go Devin Taves, 4,800. You can go Dougie Hamilton, 5,200. You can go Shabbat, 5,200. The biggest thing with having 3 Ottawa in cash, and I'm going back and forth with this now, is if they struggle, then 3 of your guys are probably going to fall, and you don't have a ton of correlation. I'm adding Stetzel in there because, yeah, he's on the 3rd line. 4,200 though, and he's playing 14 to 18 minutes a night. Look at that, 5, 3, 6, 4, 4 shots. I mean, he's playing great. He's cheap. At that point, that's a plug-in value. That's a lock of value, and that's why I put him in. Yeah, he doesn't correlate that great. I'm gonna check here. I think he does play on the power play. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so he does actually correlate. He correlates with Kachuk on the power play. With how these 2 teams play, I do think that there's going to be a ton of power play opportunities for both teams. So people are gonna look. Oh, first line, third line. Oh, they don't correlate. I'm not gonna stack them. Yeah, well, check the power play. They stack on the power play. They're gonna get a few minutes on the power play, and if you don't want to play Kachuk in there in your tournaments, play Batherson, stack him with Stetsel on the third line. Like they're playing a ton of minutes, and he's doing really good too. But just so we don't have 3 Ottawa, I'm gonna put in Devin Taves here. Usually 4,900 per player for the 2 utility spots. At first, I didn't like utility for FanDuel, having both, and dropping that winger, but it's been great. I mean, a lot of times I don't want to say that like you have to play a center, you have to play a wing. In the utility defense, I play 3 defensemen a lot in my cash lineups because they have such great floors. A lot of these top guys is going to be almost impossible to put in with what you have left. So I'm gonna go down and look for value. Let's see, we got 4,900 per player, so we gotta stick to the probably around the 5,500 or less. I don't mind Hoffman. He's not been doing great though lately. Zuccarello, you can plug in if you want to play him in cash. I'm okay with it. I don't love it, but he's been so good. That leaves you 43. Definitely possible. Personally, I'm not going there. I love Darnell Nurse, 5,400, leaves you 4,400 left per player. Other guys, if you don't want to play Nurse, you play Pionk. You can play Timo Meier, 5,200. Let's plug Meier in there. Tough matchup, but he's been great. I mean, look at his stats lately. He had 40 points last game, 3 points, 4 shots, 4-2-3, 2 5s in a row. Like I said, the matchup, though, it's a little tougher. Look what he did last time against Colorado. 15, 13 minutes. He had an assist, 5 shots. That's not going to do it. I don't like that. Personally, I'm not going there in cash, but you can. Shabbat, if you want to have that third Ottawa guy, it's risky, but 28, 17, 14, 1, 17, 8. He's been good. He had 5 shots last game against Calgary. He's got 4 assists in this little mini series that they got going on. He plays a lot. He hasn't gone under 24 minutes. I don't think all season. All right, January 25th, last time he went under 24 minutes. He's playing a lot. But for the sake of not having 3 Ottawa, look at Dougie Hamilton. Domination Station loves Dougie Hamilton tonight. He's only got 1 goal this year, but 5 shots last game against Florida. He shoots a lot. He's got normally a decent floor. For a defenseman, he doesn't block a ton of shots, but he's the offensive-minded defenseman there. But you know what? I do like that, but I'm going to go down. Look at Manchapone. I know a lot of guys love him just because of his name. 30 points last game against Ottawa, 4 shots. A little riskier in cash. Probably won't go there. Drake Batherson. Again, I'm not going to have another Ottawa guy, but look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row with a goal, 3 assists. Shots are a little low for cash, but tournaments stack up the third line, like I said. I like Alex Tuck. I like Jake Muzzin. I'll throw in Tuck here for a cash. And then there's just 5,300 for our last spot. So we'll go back up here, look at the guys, 5,300. And honestly, in this order, what I would do with these guys, it's gonna be either Dougie Hamilton, Thomas Chabot, Timo Meier. I do like William Karlsson a little bit tonight. But just for not having 3 Ottawa guys, I will plug in Dougie Hamilton. And there you have it, folks. This is a sample cash lineup. Heck, I might even throw this in a couple cash lineups. But all right, let's see. Getting a little long here, so I'm gonna wrap it up a bit. Last chance to get your comments in, guys. Let's see a couple questions here. RC Bremen, what room am I in the most? I'm in the NHL talk room the most. Right now, all I'm focusing on is NHL. Once MLB starts, I'll be in there a little bit less because I'll be doing both sports. But I am going to try to do these live streams probably like I said, 4 or 5 times a week. I normally do the FanDuel sheet Monday through Saturday. Here, like normally every day, but sometimes I take a day off or two. Sundays are rough for me, so Sundays definitely will not be able to get a live stream in. But so just to end it off here, guys, I showed you a sample cash lineup on FanDuel, showed you the cheat sheets. Definitely get in there and take a look at the cheat sheets. If you're not a DFS Army member, go sign up. Sign up for the VIP. Use my promo code MDEL. Get you 20% off. And that code, as long as you stay a member with the DFS Army, your price will never go up. You will pay that from the day you sign up until the day you cancel. So don't cancel. We got great content. MLB's just around the corner. Spring training just started up. Hockey's in full swing. We got tennis going. We got golf going. NFL, our NFL product is like the best in the industry. And if you have any other questions, shoot me over in the NHL Talk in Slack. Hit me up on Twitter, Mdellagnese14. And with that, have a great night, guys and gals. And thank you all for watching. Please give me some feedback for what you want to see in the Slack chat or on Twitter, that I can make some recommendations. I can change some things up. It's the first one. It's a lot of learning for me and be able to talk to you guys. So just want you guys have a great night, build those lineups, and let's win a bunch of money.